Okay, so good morning, students. So we'll continue with the last part of the skeletal system, which is one of the very important part as far as exams are concerned. So we'll study about the sliding filament mechanism. So in earlier class we have covered about the neuromuscular junction. In that we have covered how nerve action potential reaches the axonal terminal or somatic motor neuron and how it is converted into muscle action potential in the motor end plate of the muscle fiber. So in that previous class we stopped at the muscle contraction, that is how calciums are released from the sarcoplasmic reticulum and then how muscle contract. So we have stopped at the muscle contraction. So from that it starts with the sliding filament mechanism. So we'll now see how this actin and myosin filament they contract. Muscle contraction occurs because myosin heads attach to and walk along the thin filament at both the ends of sarcomere, progressively pulling the thin filament towards the M line. So now you all know there is a Z disc. So we have this actin filament. So consider this is one sarcomere region. Then in between we have a myosin, that are thick filament. So when muscle contraction occur, the myosin head which are attached to, they walk along at both the end of sarcomere, that is this actin filament will move this side, the myosin head will pull this actin filament towards this side and these heads of myosin will pull this actin filament this side, that is they are pulling this actin filament towards the M line. As a result, the thin filament slide inwards and meet at the center of sarcomere. So actin filament, it will meet at the sarcomere region. This entire region is a sarcomere. So both this actin filament, they will join at the center, that is at the M line. They may move so far inward that their ends overlap. So they will move in such a way that both the ends of actin filament will overlap. As the thin filament slide inward, the Z disc come close together and sarcomere shorten. So when both the filaments come together, the sarcomere, it shortens. Length of individual thick and thin filament do not change. So the length of this actin and myosin, it won't change. It will remain constant. Shortening of sarcomere causes shortening of the whole muscle fiber, which in turn lead to shortening of entire muscle. So we have two phases in sliding filament mechanism. The first phase is contraction cycle and the next phase is excitation, contraction, coupling. So we'll see what happens in contraction cycle. So we have already covered in neuromuscular junction that when nerve impulse reaches the axonal terminal of somatic motor neuron, that is nerve action potential, when it reaches the axonal terminal of somatic motor neuron, it causes release of, it opens calcium channel which are present on the membrane of axonal terminal. So once it opens, it releases the calcium ion into the axonal terminal of somatic motor neuron, which will cause synaptic vesicle to fuse with the membrane, which causes exocytosis, and then the neurotransmitter, that is acetylcholine, is released into the synapse region, the gap between the somatic motor neuron and motor end plane. So once acetylcholine is released, it binds with the acetylcholine receptor which are present on the motor end plate. Once they bind, the muscle action potential start. So neuron action potential, nerve action potential is converted into muscle action potential. So now muscle action potential, it will travel to T-tubule, which are called as a transverse tubule, and then it will travels to sarcoplasmic reticulum. So the onset of contraction starts when sarcoplasmic reticulum releases the calcium ion in the sarcoplasm. So when nerve impulse reaches sarcoplasmic reticulum, it releases calcium ion in the sarcoplasm. Now remember that sarcoplasmic reticulum has two channels. First one is calcium channel. And second is calcium ATPase. We have calcium, okay. So first we have calcium channel, and second we have calcium ATPase. So for now you just remember calcium channel. So this calcium channel will open and they will release calcium ion in the sarcoplasm. Next is calcium which is released into the sarcoplasm. It will bind to troponin. So you all know the actin filament. We have a thin filament, actin. So in on that we had seen there are troponin. So there are troponin molecules, and then we have something called tropomyosin, and we had myosin binding site. So we have this actin filament, we have a troponin, we have a tropomyosin, and then we have a myosin binding site. So once calcium binds to this troponin, when calcium binds to this troponin, it will move the troponin molecules, it will move. So when troponin moves, it also moves tropomyosin away from myosin binding site on actin. So when calcium binds to this troponin, it will change its shape, which causes tropomyosin to move away from myosin binding site. So when now myosin binding site is free, so once it is free, the contraction cycle will begin. So we now will see the various steps in the contraction cycle. So it consists of 4 steps. The first step is ATP hydrolysis. So now hydrolysis means what? Breakdown of ATP. So ATP is broken down into ADP plus phosphate. Second step is attachment of myosin to actin to form cross bridges. Third is power stroke, and the last step is detachment of myosin from actin. So we'll see now the each step in detail. So first step is ATP hydrolysis. So ATP hydrolysis, myosin head includes ATP binding site, and so myosin head include two things, that is ATP binding site, and there is one more site which attaches to, that is actin binding site. So in ATP binding site, an enzyme called ATPase, remember this enzyme, ATPase, they hydrolyze ATP into ADP and phosphate group. So ATP is, we have a ATP is hydrolyzed into ADP plus phosphate by enzyme ATPase. So once this ATP is hydrolyzed into ADP and phosphate, this hydrolysis reaction reorient and energize the myosin head. So this phosphate group will provide energy for myosin head. So it will reorient and energize this myosin head. Now myosin head is with full of energy. So now we'll see the next step. Now we have a myosin head and there is a phosphate group. So this myosin head is full of energy. Attachment of myosin to actin to form cross bridges. So the next binding site is actin binding site. So this energized myosin head which are attached to myosin binding site on the actin. So now we have a myosin binding site on the actin filament. So myosin head will go and bind to this their site. Once they bind, it will release the previously hydrolyzed phosphate group. So now we have seen over here that phosphate group is attached to this myosin head to provide energy. So it will be released in the second step. Binding of myosin head to actin during contraction is referred to as cross bridges. So two things happens in that is cross bridges are formed and phosphate group is released. So we'll move on to next step, that is power stroke. So during power stroke, the site on the cross bridge where ADP is still bound opens. As a result, the cross bridges rotate and they release ATP. So in second step, there was release of phosphate group. And in third step, it releases the ADP. So the cross bridge generate force as it rotate towards the center of sarcomere, sliding the thin filament past the thick filament towards the M line. So now this is your thin filament. Then we have this myosin. This is myosin head. So now when it binds to this actin filament, just imagine the heads are binding to this actin filament and they are sliding. That is, these hairs, these myosin hairs are bringing this actin filament towards this side, and these hairs of myosin which are bound to this actin are bringing actin filament towards this side. They are moving towards this side. So right side myosin head are bringing the right side thin filament towards the center, that is towards the M line, and the right side head are bringing the thin filament of right side towards the left side. So they are sliding over one another, that is sliding the thin filament past the thick filament. So they are moving towards the M line. This is in center we have M line, and we know that there is a M line over here. So they are moving towards the M line. Once this is over, that is power stroke, it will continue. As contraction is happening, it will continue. So next step is detachment of myosin from actin. At the end of power stroke, cross bridges remain firmly attached to actin until it binds another molecule of ATP. So this myosin head which are attached to actin, they will remain bound to actin unless and until another molecule of ATP comes and bind to the ATP binding site of myosin head. So when ATP molecule come and bind to ATP binding site on myosin head, it will get detached from actin, that is thin filament. So when actin comes and bind to the actin binding site, it will detach from the actin filament. As ATP bind to ATP binding site on myosin head detaches from actin. And it is ready for the next cycle. So now ATP is bound to the ATP binding site. So what will happen? It will again get hydrolyzed into ADP and phosphate. Then again cross bridges will be formed. Again power stroke. Then again it will detach. Another molecule of ATP will bind and cycle will continue. This happens when there is a nerve impulse sent from the brain which receives into the somatic motor neuron, which we have covered in the neuromuscular junction. And when nerve action potential reaches the motor end plate, it converts into muscle action potential, and then contraction cycle begins, which we have covered in the first 4 steps of contraction cycle. So just a summary of how it happens. So as you can see over here, this is a sarcolemma, that is the plasma membrane of muscle fiber. So now continuing with the neuromuscular junction, now muscle action potential has reached the into the sarcolemma. It has reached into the sarcolemma. So now what will happen? This calcium ions, what you all can see inside the sarcoplasmic reticulum. This is sarcoplasmic reticulum. So the calcium ions will be released into the sarcoplasm. So this calcium ions will be released from this into the sarcoplasm, and then they will bind to the troponin here on the troponin, and then the contraction cycle will begin. So we have muscle action potential which is reaching to the motor end plate or sarcolemma. It travels towards the transverse tubule. You can see over here transverse tubule. Then it travels into the sarcoplasmic reticulum, which causes release of calcium into the sarcoplasm. So it will bind to the troponin. Binding of calcium to troponin causes tropomyosin to free the myosin binding site. So this troponin will move from troponin binding myosin binding site, and then we have contraction cycle begin. So in first we have seen that ATP is hydrolyzed into ADP and phosphate group. The calcium, it is bound to troponin. It is changing the tropomyosin is making the myosin binding site free, ATP and phosphate. So next step is the myosin head binds to actin, forming cross bridges, and phosphate is released. In second step, the phosphate is release, and it forms the cross bridges. How cross bridges are formed? By binding this head to actin. Myosin heads are bound to myosin binding site on actin, and phosphate is released. So in third step, that is a power stroke, very important step of contraction cycle. In this step, myosin head pivots, that is, they are pulling the thin filament past the thick filament towards the center of sarcomere, that is towards the M line. So once this happens, now ADP is released and myosin head detaches from the actin filament and it is ready for the next cycle. So now another ATP molecule will bind. It will again undergo hydrolysis, that is ADP into phosphate group, and then cycle is repeated. So the next part of sliding filament mechanism or sliding filament theory is excitation, contraction, coupling. So now when muscle fibers are relaxed, the concentration of calcium in the sarcoplasm is low. Then it is in the sarcoplasmic reticulum. We'll see subsequently in the diagram how it happens. The muscle action potential propagates through sarcolemma and then through T tubules, and then it will reach into the sarcoplasmic reticulum. It will reach into the sarcoplasmic reticulum, which causes calcium release channel of sarcoplasmic reticulum to open. So calcium will flow out of sarcoplasmic reticulum into sarcoplasm and it will release in vicinity of thin and thick filament, which we have already seen. When calcium binds to troponin, it changes its shape and this conformation causes tropomyosin to move away from myosin binding site of actin. Once the site are free, myosin heads bind to them to form cross bridges and contraction cycle will begin. So this event, as they connect excitation to contraction, hence it is called excitation contraction coupling. We have seen in previous diagram how muscle action potential reaches the muscle fiber, that is sarcolemma, that is motor end plate of muscle fiber, and then how it travels from sarcolemma to T tubules, then to sarcoplasmic reticulum, then it causes calcium channel to open, which in turn causes calcium to enter into the sarcoplasm. So once they enter, the contraction cycle begins because they bind to troponin. Troponin will in turn change its conformation to make myosin binding free for binding. So from that step onward, the contraction cycle is to begin. So that is why it is called excitation. That is, excitation happens at what step? When muscle action potential reaches the sarcolemma and then to sarcoplasmic reticulum. So it is connected to, excitation is connected to contraction. So it is called as excitation contraction coupling. Next is sarcoplasmic reticulum membrane also contain one channel, as I have already mentioned about that in the first slide. So sarcoplasmic reticulum contain two channels. One is calcium release channel and second is calcium ATPase, that is calcium active transporter, calcium ATPase. So calcium active transporter which utilizes energy in the form of ATPase. So it is called calcium ATPase. During continuous muscle action potential, propagation through T-tubule, the calcium channel are open. That is, sarcoplasmic reticulum we release calcium into the sarcoplasm. So after last action potential propagation, calcium release channels are closed. So this release of calcium from sarcoplasmic reticulum is only possible when muscle action potential propagates to sarcoplasmic reticulum. But when the muscle action potential decreases, that is the last action potential, the release of calcium from sarcoplasmic reticulum also decreases. So calcium moves back into sarcoplasmic reticulum via calcium active pump, that is calcium ATPase. Thus, concentration of calcium in the sarcoplasm reduces. Why? Because we have this sarcoplasmic reticulum. There are two channels. One is calcium release channel, that is calcium release channel. Another one is calcium we have this is we have for example, this is sarcoplasmic reticulum. So we have two channels for that. One is calcium release channel and this is calcium ATPase. So this channel whenever muscle action potential reaches the sarcoplasmic reticulum, it releases calcium out of the sarcoplasmic reticulum. But when muscle action potential is decreased, this channel will close and calcium will flow. Calcium which is present in the sarcoplasm will enter into the sarcoplasmic reticulum because these channels are now open. So calcium will move inside the sarcoplasmic reticulum. So the concentration of calcium in the sarcoplasm is reduced. Inside the sarcoplasmic reticulum, molecules of calcium binding protein called calcisequestrin which bind to calcium, thus enabling even more calcium to be sequestered or stored within sarcoplasmic reticulum. So when this calcium channel move, they bind to one protein called calcisequestrin, thus enabling this calcium channel will bind to this protein. Thus more calcium will store into the sarcoplasmic reticulum. So as the calcium level in the sarcoplasm drops, tropomyosin covers the myosin binding site and now muscle fibers are relaxed. Because when calcium binds to the troponin, it will cause tropomyosin to slightly change its orientation and it detaches from it makes free the myosin binding sites. That's how myosin head can bind to that, and that's how contraction cycle used to begin. But now the concentration of calcium level are low, so troponin will again cover the myosin binding site and now muscle fibers are relaxed. So this is the calcium ATPase pump and this is calcium release channel. So when muscle action potential reaches the sarcolemma, these channels are releasing calcium and muscle contraction is to begin. But when the concentration muscle action potential stops, this calcium will move into the sarcoplasmic reticulum and it will bind to protein called calcisequestrin, and the concentration of calcium in sarcoplasmic reticulum will increase and muscle fibers will be relaxed. So this is the same thing. This is contraction cycle. You can see the gap between this. These are now relaxed state. these are in the relaxing, so you can see the gap between this, and these are in the excited state, that is in the contracted state. So you can see the gap. This is M line, so you can see the gap between. Calcium has bound to troponin, so it will myosin head will bind, and then contraction will start. So lastly, just revision of neuromuscular junction and sliding filament mechanism. So when brain sends signal, that is now impulse reaches the axonal terminal, it causes calcium to enter, that causes exocytosis. So neurotransmitter is released. The neurotransmitter is released into the synapse region, that will diffuse, that is acetylcholine neurotransmitter will bind to the acetylcholine receptor which are present on the motor end plate. So binding of acetylcholine will cause sodium channels to open and enter into the sarcoplasm, which in turn causes sarcoplasmic reticulum to release calcium into sarcoplasm, so that will bind to troponin, and the cycle repeats, that is cross bridges are formed, then it will tropomyosin block myosin binding site and muscle fibers are relaxed. So calcium will bind to that, then it will form bridges, and then ADP will be released, then next cycle, and it continues. So we have done with the neuromuscular junction, sliding filament theory. So here we complete the skeletal system. Sliding filament mechanism is a very important topic as far as exams are concerned. Thank you.